Once again, it is very obvious to me what this question is testing. If we look at the answer choices, we can see that there are different verbs and different tenses, but more than that, it's about singulars and plurals. This is not just verb tense like past, present, future. This is verb agreement. Do we need a singular or a plural verb because of the singular or plural subject? You have to be able to recognize when this rule is being tested. It makes it so much easier, because watch, we're going to start without reading the sentence and just going straight to the choices and categorizing them as singular or plural. And just to help us out, remember, the general rule for verbs when this matters is that singular verbs end in S, okay? That's kind of backwards. We associate the letter S with plurals in English, but actually when verbs are plural, they don't have an S. It's singular verbs that do. So we can see we've got some S's, right? So sweeps, that is a singular verb in choice D. The others are tricky because you're like, well, sweeping, that doesn't have any S, but it's not really about that word. It's about the R and the were, but those also do not have an S, therefore they are plural, right? We would say is sweeping if we wanted to keep it singular, or was sweeping if we wanted to keep that singular. The first one, choice A, then is the plural version of the just normal present tense. So A and D are kind of like opposites. Now, right away, it feels like it's probably going to be D because it's the only singular choice, and usually they do not mix verb agreement questions with verb tense questions. So it's unlikely that we're going to need to think about past, present, and future here. It's probably just about singulars and plurals. And that means it's probably going to be D, but let's double check. Let's read the sentences and make sure. So I'm going to start here with the word with, because that is kind of where the sentence that we care about is going to start. With the same fluid style that Coltrane was famous for on the piano, she sweeps her fingers across the harp strings and creates a radiant sound, right? So this first part is just an intro. The comma tells us that. The word with also helps there, telling us we're leading into the main sentence. So if it helps you, you can just kind of cross that out and just be like, okay, that's not part of the main sentence, and the main sentence is where the subject and the verb will be. So that's what matters. And then hopefully you can just hear, she sweeps her fingers across the harp strings and creates a radiant sound. That's what we need. Plus, we actually have some symmetry here. She sweeps, right? Sweeps and creates. There's two verbs that are both in the same tense and in the same singular, right? So we've got a lot of evidence here. This is not a particularly hard version of the verb agreement rule, but it still sets the tone of how these are supposed to be answered. Think about the singulars and plurals of the choices before you dive into the specifics of the sentence. You might reveal the answer without very much effort.